Hi, I'm Vicki Locke with C2 Communications, and this is DF Talks. For over 50 years, Downing-Frye Realty has set the standard for excellence and professionalism in Naples, Marco Island, Bonita Springs, and Estero real estate markets. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Pat Pitocchi, who in another life used to be a high school principal, and they called her Mrs. P. So do I have your permission to call you Mrs. P?
You sure do, Vicki.
So how does one evolve from a high school principal into the world of real estate?
Well, I love that job. I retired in December of 2001. I was a sitting principal on 9/11. And I had planned to retire in December because I feel that's the optimal time so that the new principal can do some scheduling for the next year. If we wait until the end of the year, the new principal really walks into an already formatted and arranged and organized, relationship with everything. It has really cannot do anything. So I had planned to do that, but 9/11 sort of convinced me. It was very disturbing. And, I have a son who was about a few blocks from the Twin Towers. We were very fortunate. Not everyone was. But it kind of makes you, really take a look at everything. At that point, I retired and I discovered I was not good at that. I was just terrible at doing nothing. I just couldn't do that. I'm really not the type of person who is drawn to gossip or lunches. And, I needed something more substantive. So I decided to combine the passions that are not only educational, but travel, languages. My husband is multilingual. We've lived out of the country, and we've bought and sold a lot of real estate, built houses. So I sort of combined those two and became a global realtor, ran a team of 4, and became a broker, and kind of got dragged back into the education within real estate. Because I offered my opinion, which was some of the educational components were really not great. So as is typical, people said to me, well, that might be true. So why don't you get involved? And so I've been involved with the state level. I teach for NAR. I teach for the state level. I'm a licensed instructor, and sort of got drawn back in. There at the board locally and at other boards and around the state. And ultimately, once the economy collapsed, I decided to do even more of that. And Downing-Frye recruited me to come in, and they had just 100% commitment to training, and just is a wonderful, wonderful company with whom to collaborate. So I've been here about probably 7 or 8 years, and
I'm loving it.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it's just a wonderful marriage because I can do all pretty much whatever instruction we need, and the company is 100% committed to that. So it is a wonderful, wonderful sort of marriage. But that's kind of the pathway based on the fact that I'm really terrible at sitting in a chair doing nothing. So
that's what we're doing right now,
though. So we got involved, and I've been president of the local board. I've done a lot in real estate here and on the state level, on the national level, and it's my way of giving back.
And today we're going to talk about something that you're passionate about. We're going to talk about the Fair Housing Act.
Right.
And you've got the top 3 ways that it affects real estate. So let's get right into it and start with giving us some background on the Fair Housing Act.
Sure, Vicki. Thanks so much. Fair housing actually was Title VIII in 1968. It was amended on the federal level several times after that, and on the state level as well. But I don't think everybody loves history the way I do. So really what realtors are concerned about is right now, today, in 2021, there are 9 protected classes. We added 2, gender identity and sexual orientation. The realtors added those to the Code of Ethics in 2014, but in June of 2020, they were added to the federal fair housing laws. So we are committing to make certain every one of our words, every one of our actions aligns with non-discriminatory practice. And we never, ever, ever target or discriminate against those 9 protected classes. So that's really important on both the realtor level with the Code of Ethics and the legal level with the Fair Housing Act. It applies to all sales and rentals. And unfortunately, in our country, there are, unfortunately, still today, some folks that do display that type of discrimination. We have to make certain we do not.
How old is the Fair Housing Act?
Well, 1968 was the genesis of it when we really codified, but we didn't include all of the classes that are now included. So it has been amended sort of since that time. 1968 was such a seminal year with affected education with Title IX and equal opportunity for young women, for example. When I retired from education, young women were on equal footing with young men in terms of opportunity for athletics, et cetera. That wasn't the case 40 years before that, or even 10 years or 30 years before that. So we've been moving in this direction since 1968. So it has been long in standing, but after the Civil War, one could argue this should not have been necessary 100 years later, but it was. So we keep adding to that just to encourage everyone to make sure that we stay on the right side and we don't end up in realtor jail.
Which is a thing.
Which definitely is a thing, and we don't want to be there. We don't.
Okay, let's delve deeper into the Code of Ethics.
Sure. With the Code of Ethics, essentially in 2014, the Code of Ethics was changed, and we look at it and amend it every year. There is a process for that. In 2014, NAR and all of the realtors committed to non-discriminatory practice with gender identity and sexual orientation, or whatever wording you would choose for those ideas. So we, for 7 years, have been bound by that with the articles in the Code of Ethics. Article 10 itself, one of the major articles, was amended to include that in 2014. In 2020, the same 2 elements were added to the federal law by the Supreme Court of the United States. So the realtors have always been sort of on the cutting edge to try to make sure that sales and rentals are not totally in a non-discriminatory way applied to the population. And thankfully, the Supreme Court has supported that, and it's now part of the federal and state laws. Okay,
so let's wrap up with the changes that have been made that hold realtors accountable.
Sure. I would like to mention that every year there are changes. I would say that the most significant ones have involved emotional support animals and service animals. And we have a change almost yearly in the conduct of business for that. Downing-Frye has always taken the position that we supply for all of our associates annually a presentation on fair housing so we can make sure we have the most recent information. I record that. We put the video available to all our folks because this company is 100% committed to fair housing notions and the practice of fair housing. So essentially, one of the top issues, there are actually 5, we want to make sure that whenever we're dealing with sales and rentals, that we offer the same opportunities to all people, that we use the same language, that we show property, whether it's sales or rentals, to everyone in a non-discriminatory way, that we do not target any groups, that we do not have any sort of occupancy standards, that we do not, when we do, we in this company, to avoid one of these, for example, which is the criminal background checks, we do not encourage / allow our associates to do those because they are wrought with peril. It is illegal to have cutting score criminal standards for rental or sale. In other words, a association really cannot say if you or I have one felony on our record, that automatically means we cannot rent or own. That is illegal. And so there's a change every year to make sure our folks stay on the right side of the line. What we say at Downing-Frye is we don't do that. We don't make any of those judgments. We're not involved in that. Others do. We are aware of it, but we're not involved in it. So from our perspective, I think there are 3 top reasons Downing-Frye does just an A+ job when it comes to fair housing. Number 1, we have the training, and we do that every year to account for, make sure we're all aware of any changes. And we actually have the Florida Commission on Human Relations come down and do that. That is the body in the state of Florida which receives any complaints. So they have the pulse of everything, and they are wonderful to help us with that. So training is important. Number 2, I think support is really important. We answer questions all day long in this company, and our goal is to try to answer questions before people commit to writing something that will be problematic. And essentially speaking, we want always to make sure that our folks have both the training, the support, and the access to all the information, which is sort of my job. I constantly send out information. Our hope is everyone reads it, but read is a 4-letter word today. But we're also available at any time to answer any questions should they come up.
And they're always looking to expand their family. So if you think that you'd like to be part of Downing-Frye, you can visit DowningFrye.com to learn more. Thanks so much, Mrs. P.
Oh, great to see you and great to share some time with you today, Vicki. I truly, truly, truly enjoyed it.
Thank you.